Imagine for a second that your future, it isn't something you're just walking toward.
Right, like it's a destination or something.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine it's a room you are already standing in, but, the lights are just turned off.
I love that visual.
It's wild,
Okay.
right? So today, we are opening up this rather extraordinary text from 1949. It's Neville Goddard's book, Out of This World, Thinking Fourth Dimensionally. And Goddard makes this completely mind-bending claim in it.
He really does.
He proposes that every possible version of your life has actually already happened, and your physical body is just like catching up to what your imagination has already chosen.
Which is, it is a radical departure from how we normally operate.
Oh, totally.
We take it as an absolute given that tomorrow is built exclusively by, the sweat of our brow today. Cause and effect, right?
Right.
We think we're strictly bound by physical movement and the passage of time.
Right. The traditional view is kind of like a train running on a track. You are sitting in the passenger car looking out the window, and the scenery just comes at you.
Yeah, you're just along for the ride.
Exactly. I mean, you can walk up and down the aisle, maybe change your seat, but the train is going where the tracks lead. You're bound by the physical actions you take today to get to tomorrow.
That's the standard 3D experience.
But we're going to dive into Goddard's framework today to explore a completely different set of mechanics. Our mission for this deep dive is to unpack how, according to Goddard anyway, you can use your imagination not just as a fun little escape from a boring Tuesday.
Right, not just daydreaming.
Yeah, but as a literal fourth dimensional tool, a tool to actually predetermine and alter your future reality. So we want to help you rethink how you interact with time, space, and, well, your own deepest desires based on the concepts laid out in this text.
And to do that, we really have to establish the core foundation of Goddard's philosophy.
Lay it on us.
So he posits that the entire external world, everything you see, touch, and experience, is simply the outpicturing of consciousness. In his framework, every single change in your external environment is just the result of a change in your own internal consciousness. The physical world doesn't initiate anything. It only reflects.
Which, that brings up a massive question. If my consciousness is creating everything, why do I feel so stuck in my 3D reality?
Right. The classic dilemma.
Because think about that massive goal you've been stressing over all week. Goddard is basically looking right at you and saying, you're trying to force the ending by physically working yourself to the bone when you could just flip to the last page and write it yourself.
Exactly.
But how do we actually do that? Because according to the book, it really comes down to two distinct outlooks on the world.
It does. Goddard says every single person possesses two outlooks. He terms the first one the natural focus, or what he sometimes calls the carnal mind.
Wait, carnal mind. And I think I saw Mind of Christ in the text, too. Is Goddard saying this is like a religious practice, or is he using biblical terminology as a metaphor for a psychological state?
That is such a crucial distinction to make. Goddard frequently uses biblical phrasing, but he is using it entirely metaphorically.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah, he's describing psychological and dimensional states. So when he says carnal mind, he's not talking about sin or anything like that. He is talking about the biological, ordinary waking consciousness.
The five senses.
Exactly. It's governed entirely by our physical senses. If you can see it, touch it, or hear it, it is real. If you can't, it's not. This focus is trapped in that linear progression of time you mentioned earlier.
Okay, so the carnal mind is my everyday 3D brain. I drop a glass, it shatters, time moves strictly forward.
Yes, exactly. But then he introduces the second outlook. He refers to this as the spiritual focus, or the mind of Christ.
Which is the 4D part.
Right. Again, decoding the metaphor, this is the fourth dimensional focus. When you operate from this outlook, you possess a controlled imagination, one that views the past, the present, and the future, not as a timeline stretching out in front of you, but as a present whole.
Okay, wait, let's unpack this, because this is where the logic feels a little slippery for me.
Sure.
Goddard claims that people operating in this 4D state can actually observe events before they occur in the 3D world.
Yes, he does.
He even claims he's done it himself. But if you can see something before it happens in physical space, doesn't that imply the future is already set in stone?
I see where you're going with this.
Right. Like if the future is pre-written enough to be observed today, where does free will fit into this at all? Are we just actors playing out a script we literally cannot change?
What's fascinating here is how Goddard resolves that exact paradox.
Yeah.
Because from a strictly three-dimensional perspective, you are right. The future is predetermined.
Okay.
But from the 4D perspective, the spiritual focus, There are multiple outcomes. Think of it less like a single train track and more like an infinite rail yard.
An infinite rail yard.
Okay. Yeah. All the possible routes, all the possible futures, they already exist. They're all prepared in advance in every detail. Your free will lies in the fact that you have the choice at every single moment of which future you will encounter.
Oh, wow. So the routes are pre-built, but I'm sitting in the control tower pulling the levers.
Precisely. You choose the track, but here is the catch. Once you make that choice and shift your attention to a specific track, a new deterministic sequence begins.
Ah, so you're locked in again.
Exactly. The events will unfold consistently with the alteration you made. You altered the future by choosing a new pre-existing path. You didn't create the past from scratch, you just shunted your consciousness onto it.
That sounds incredible, but honestly, it sounds a bit like magical thinking. You're telling me if I just shift my attention, the laws of physics and human free will just bend to accommodate my new track.
It's a lot to wrap your head around.
How does Goddard justify the actual mechanics of that?
Well, he justifies it by changing our fundamental definition of time and reality. He uses this really brilliant analogy to explain the mechanics. He calls it the printed page.
Yes. Let's make this super concrete for the listener. So, look at the device you are listening to this deep dive on right now. You experience hearing these words second by second, but the entire audio file already exists on your phone.
Right, it's fully downloaded.
Exactly. You are just experiencing it linearly. Goddard is basically saying your entire life is just a downloaded file, right?
That is a perfect modern translation of his analogy. Goddard says that life on Earth is exactly like reading a printed page in a book.
Okay.
When you're reading, you experience the words singly and successively. You focus your vision on one word in the upper left-hand corner, then you move to the next word, and the next across the line and down the page.
Because our physical brains can only process so much information at once, we have to read the book word by word.
Right. That is our 3D natural focus. We experience time and events 1 second after another. But, and this is the absolute key to his mechanics, all the words on that page exist simultaneously.
Mind-blowing.
While you're reading the first word, the last word on the page is already there, fully formed, waiting for your attention to reach it. The entire context is present at once.
And this is where the fourth dimensional thinking comes in, because Goddard proposes that we actually have the power to rearrange those words.
Yes.
The words are our sensory impressions. We can take them and tell an entirely different story.
He points out that a dream, just a regular dream you have at night when you're asleep, is simply uncontrolled 4D thinking.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's your mind randomly rearranging past and future sensory impressions into a bizarre, non-linear narrative. But our goal here isn't just to dream randomly.
Right. Nobody wants a random nightmare.
Exactly. According to Goddard, the goal is a controlled waking dream. If we connect this to the bigger picture, his framework insists that our physical 3D reality is just a shadow of this much larger 4D world.
It's an abstraction.
Yes, the physical world is an abstraction. By consciously shifting our attention, we're taking control of that larger dimension.
Okay, so if I am the editor of this 4D script, how do I actually hold the pen? What is the mechanism for making an edit? Because knowing I can change the page is great in theory, but I need to know what to actually do when I get home tonight.
Well, Goddard doesn't just leave us with philosophy. He provides a very precise 3-step technique to create this controlled waking dream.
Okay, lay it out for me. Step 1 seems fairly obvious.
Yeah, step 1 is simply to define your objective. You have to know exactly what you want. It cannot be a vague feeling of, oh, I want to be happy.
Right.
It must be a specific, clearly defined desire.
Got it. Okay, so I want a promotion to senior vice president. So step 2, I just close my eyes and picture my boss handing me the new contract.
Actually, no. Goddard explicitly warns against that.
Wait, really? Why?
And this is where his technique deviates from traditional visualization. He says you must construct an event that you would encounter following the fulfillment of your desire.
Why wouldn't I just imagine the exact moment I get what I want, like the handshake with the boss?
Because imagining the moment of getting it often implies that you don't have it yet.
Oh, I see.
It keeps the mind in a state of striving. Goddard says you must construct an event that implies your desire is already a done deal. It's ancient history.
Interesting.
So if you are promoted to senior VP, what happens a week later? Maybe a colleague is shaking your hand, congratulating you on your first successful board meeting in the new role. That following event proves the desire is already fulfilled.
That makes a lot of sense. It completely bypasses the anxiety of how will it happen because it places you in a timeline where it has already happened.
Precisely. And Goddard adds one more rule to this step. The action of self must be predominant. It has to be something you are actively doing or experiencing, not just something you are passively watching happen to someone else.
Okay, so I have my objective, and I've constructed my following event, shaking my colleague's hand after the board meeting. What is the actual mechanism for executing this edit?
This is step 3. You must immobilize the physical body.
Immobilize,
Yeah.
like completely still.
Yes. You get into a comfortable chair or lie flat on a bed, and you induce a state akin to sleep, a deep drowsiness where your body is entirely still, but your mind remains under your conscious control.
Why the physical paralysis? Why can't I just do this while I'm, I don't know, washing the dishes or driving to work?
It goes back to the two outlooks. Your 3D carnal mind is constantly receiving data from your physical senses. If you are washing dishes, the feeling of the water, the smell of the soap, the physical movement, all of that sensory input anchors your consciousness firmly in the 3D world.
Right, it's pulling my focus.
Exactly. To access the 4D state, you have to temporarily shut down the 3D sensory input. By immobilizing the body and inducing drowsiness, you're effectively muting the physical world so your imagination can take over as the primary reality.
It's sensory deprivation, essentially. You are tricking your brain into dropping its attachment to the physical room you're sitting in.
Exactly. And once you are in that drowsy, immobilized state, you mentally feel yourself right into the proposed action. Let's go back to your example. You imagine your colleague standing before you.
Okay.
You must put your imaginary hand into his, feel it to be completely solid, and carry on an imaginary conversation that implies you are already the senior VP.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting and where I think a lot of people might get tripped up. Goddard makes a massive distinction here regarding how you visualize this.
He does.
He says, do not look at yourself as if you were watching a motion picture screen. Why is watching the movie of your success a recipe for failure in this framework?
Because watching a screen keeps the event in the future and it keeps it separate from you.
Oh, right.
If you see yourself over there on a movie screen getting congratulated, your subconscious is registering that the event is elsewhere and later. To change reality, Goddard argues, you must make elsewhere here and the future now.
So you cannot be an onlooker. You must be a partaker.
Yes. You have to experience the action in the first person. You aren't watching your hand shake your colleague's hand from a distance. You are looking out of your own eyes. You are feeling the actual physical solidity of their grip in yours. You are feeling the fabric of their suit. You are hearing their voice right in front of you.
It is the difference between daydreaming about a vacation and actually feeling the hot sand burning the bottoms of your feet.
Exactly.
The sensation has to be first person and immediate, but doing that, experiencing the event in the first person while keeping your physical body asleep, that sounds incredibly difficult because human psychology gets in the way immediately. Goddard recognizes this, doesn't he? He addresses the primary reason people fail at this technique.
Yes, he directly addresses the undisciplined mind. The moment you close your eyes and try to focus on feeling that handshake, your attention will wander. The human mind is just constantly seeking new stimuli.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I try to meditate, and within 10 seconds, I'm thinking about an email I forgot to send, or whether I left the oven on, or a weird comment someone made to me 3 years ago.
Right, it's total natural.
If I'm trying to hold a complex scenario in my head, my brain is going to hijack it.
Goddard anticipated that. His solution to this wandering mind is to ruthlessly restrict the imaginary action. You have to condense the idea into a single, simple act.
Right. He gives a really clear example in the book. Let's say the event following the fulfillment of your desire is climbing a particular flight of stairs in a brand new house you just bought. Goddard says you must restrict your action to only climbing that flight of stairs.
Nothing else. You don't imagine driving to the house, unlocking the door, walking through the living room, and then climbing the stairs. That is way too much narrative.
Because if you let the story play out, your attention will wander off along an associational track.
Yes.
You imagine the living room, which makes you think of a couch you saw online, which makes you think of your credit card bill, which makes you think of the economy.
and suddenly you're lost.
Yeah. Goddard warns that in just a few seconds, you will be hundreds of miles away in space and years away in time from your objective.
Exactly. So if your restricted action is climbing the stairs and your mind wanders, you have to bring your attention back to the very first step and start climbing again.
Just force it back.
You do it over and over. Goddard calls it attention minus tension. It isn't about forcefully gripping the image until you have a headache. It is about gently but firmly returning to the single action every time you drift. You just loop the action.
So what does this all mean for the execution? It means we have to put our imaginary action on a tight loop. We just loop that handshake or loop climbing those stairs until it takes on the tones of absolute reality.
Yeah.
Until the brain can no longer tell the difference between the 4D imagination and 3D reality.
And you fall asleep in that state.
Okay, but here is my biggest question. Let's say I do this perfectly. I immobilize my body, I loop the handshake in the first person, I feel the reality of it, and I fall asleep. When I wake up the next morning, I am still in my same old job. Do I then have to go figure out how to make it happen in the physical world? Do I have to go manipulate my boss or scheme to get the VP fired so I can take their spot?
This is perhaps the most fascinating and honestly relieving part of Goddard's entire framework.
Yeah.
The answer is a definitive no. He has a very strict rule about this. Your acceptance of the waking dream wills the means for its fulfillment.
Wait, so I literally don't worry about the how.
You never worry about the how. According to the mechanics laid out in this book, your three-dimensional conscious mind is far too limited to figure out the massive, complex series of events needed to bring your desire to pass anyway.
I mean, fair enough.
But your dimensionally larger 4D self sees the whole printed page. It will influence the actions and words of everyone necessary and construct the physical events required to realize the end you have accepted as true.
So the 3D world is essentially forced to catch up to the 4D edit I made.
That is his claim. Goddard calls it the bridge of incidents. You just go about your normal life, making the natural decisions that come to you, and the bridge of incidents will unfold automatically to lead you to the exact fulfillment of your assumption.
That is just incredible. To summarize the core premise of what we've explored in Goddard's book today within this framework, our assumptions, when persisted in, physically harden into facts.
Exactly.
The external world is just a mirror reflecting our internal 4D state. So whether you are trying to overcome a difficult habit, trying to ace a massive project at work, or simply trying to understand the nature of your reality better, the starting point is exactly the same.
It all starts with it.
You have to take control of your own imagination. You have to stop passively reading the script word by word and start editing the page through this specific practice of the controlled waking dream.
And as we close out this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final, truly mind-expanding concept directly from the Goddard's text. We talked earlier about moving beyond the 3D perspective.
Yeah.
Goddard states a concept that really reframes human existence. He says that we are all, in our physical forms, just cross-sections of four-dimensional bodies.
Cross-sections, like looking at a single slice of a loaf of bread and thinking that's the whole loaf without realizing it extends backwards and forwards.
Exactly. He says that to truly see a person's 4D self, you would have to see every single moment of their life, from the moment of birth to the moment of death, all coexisting at once in a state of flux.
Wow.
It is a living, animated whole where the past, present, and future are all happening right now.
So think back to that dark room we talked about at the very beginning. You aren't just the person stumbling around with a flashlight bumping into the furniture of your life.
Right.
And you aren't even just the person standing by the light switch. According to Goddard, your entire timeline, your past, your present, and every possible future route in that infinite rail yard already exists simultaneously right now.
It's all there.
So I want you to ponder this as you go about your day. If every single outcome is already out there, fully formed and waiting, well, what magnificent future version of yourself is already standing in the dark, just waiting for you to shift your attention, edit the script, and finally step into their shoes?